Welcome all of you in online teaching learning process. We have started unit number first, basic concepts in industrial chemistry, from the paper number 6, industrial chemistry. And in our last video we have seen details about the unit operations, unit processes, and about the flow diagrams and their types. And in this video we will see details about the types of flow diagrams. So in the case of flow diagrams, that is we have studied, that is there are mainly 4 types available. In the case of chemical process diagrams, that is block flow diagram, it is represented by BFDs. Then process flow diagram, which is represented by process flow sheets, that is PFDs. And last one, piping and instrumentation diagrams, PNIDs. And further another one is a utilities flow diagram, but in your syllabus there are only 3 flow diagrams available, that is block flow diagram, process flow diagram, and piping and instrumentation diagrams. Then we will see details about the block diagram, that is first one. So in the case of block diagram is a simple representation of a chemical process in which a box or block is used to represent a single equipment atom or combination of equipment atoms that collectively give information of the important steps in the process. So each and every step is represented in block diagram with the help of by drawing box or block. So these diagrams are useful at early stage of process design before details have been determined. So for simplification, block diagrams are used in the case of industrial level. So in the case of block diagram is a schematic diagram which shows flow by means of lines and arrows. Flow can be represented by drawing line and arrows. Then unit operations and processes by diagrams such as rectangles and circles. Rectangles and circles are drawn to show any type of unit operations and processes, and also represent raw materials, intermediates, and final products. Then we will see specific example, block diagram for HNO3, that is nitric acid production. Block diagram of low pressure process to produce nitric acid is represented in following diagram. So in this case ammonia is passed, and through this block, that is vaporization process carried out. Then when air is passed, oxidation is carried out in the reactor. Then waste heat boiler is used. Then in further block diagram, cooler condenser is used. After passing further air and passing water, then cooler condenser and absorber is carried out, and we are getting final production of 60% HNO3. So this is the block diagram representation to produce low pressure nitric acid. So this is used for simplification to carry out the process in industrial level. So this is another block diagram for HNO3. I have represented this diagram for simplification only. Then next example, block diagram for production of H2SO4. Block diagram for sulfuric acid plant. So in this case we will see step by step which blocks or diagrams are used to represent each and every step. So initially in this case, that is first sulfide ore is taken, then sulfide ore is roasted, which is represented in the block diagram by passing air. Then waste heat boiler block is used, and steam is outlet. Then water is inlet. Then cyclone process carried out. Then scrubbing carried out. Then roaster product will be formed. Then cooler techniques used, mist precipitation technique carried out. Then dryer, fans are used. Then converters are used. Then absorbers are used. So in this case dryers are used, weak acid will be formed. Then after strong acid is formed, then waste gas is liberated. Then in converter case cooler and heat exchanger is applied, and lastly we are getting strong acid, which is a sulfuric acid. This is only for simplification. Each and every step is described in each block with very short meaning. So this block diagram, this is the block diagram representation for sulfuric acid plant. Then next one, that is a second type, process flow diagram, which is a PFDs. So in the case of process flow diagram, PFD is a pictorial representation which shows, that is a process flow diagram. PFD is a pictorial representation which shows more detailed arrangement and interconnections of all major pieces of equipments and all flow streams. So in the case of process flow diagram, more detailed arrangement and interconnections are explained. So it provides more detailed information than block diagram. As compared to block diagram, this process flow diagram is superior, which gives each and every step with detailed meaning. So in the case of process flow diagram, in process flow diagram, that is the equipments are shown by symbols or icons that look like the actual equipment. Then smaller equipments such as pumps or valves may or may not be included in the process flow diagram. Sometimes pumps and valves are represented or sometimes not represented. Then symbols shown to represent the equipments are quick to draw and easy to understand. Then symbols are represented in this process flow diagram are easy to understandable. So in case of process flow diagram, that is, many symbols are accepted as national standards and others are commonly used in chemical industry process, while some symbols are designed by the engineers where standard symbols are not existing. Sometimes they are used by engineers. Therefore symbols and presentations may vary from one designer of company to another designer of company in case of industrial level. So each flow stream is identified with number or letter, and that we will see in later slide. So this is the process flow diagram for production of nitric acid. Also we have studied production of nitric acid in block diagram, but for simplification or more convenient process is represented in process flow diagram for the production of nitric acid. So in this case, this filter is represented by this symbol, then air is passed, then compressor is represented by this symbol, then vaporization process and ammonia. So this is a reactor, by passing air it is oxidized, then another filter is used, then cooler system represented by this diagram, then condenser system is represented by these diagrams, and after that absorber and mixer we are getting final production of 60% HNO3, that is nitric acid. So for simplification, this process flow diagram is used in industry level. Then we will see some symbols used in process flow diagram. That is, first one, fluid handling. So in the case of first symbol is a centrifugal pump or blower, which is represented like this, centrifugal pump or blower. Then centrifugal compressor, which is represented like this. Then turbines are used by this symbol. Then centrifugal compressor is represented by this symbol. Then valve, then control valve is represented by this symbol. So these are the fluid handling, that is, flow of the liquid is handled by these symbols. Then heat transfer symbols, that is, in case of this cell and tube heat exchanger, this symbol is used. Then fired heater, this symbol is used. Then coil in tank, then this symbol is used. Then tray dryer, this symbol. Spray condenser, then process stream and heat source represented by this symbol. So these are these symbols represent heat transfer process. Then mass transfer this is a filter. This symbol represented filter is used in the process. Then grinder represented by this symbol. Then tray column, when we used, then this symbol is used, and packed column is used, then this symbol is used. So these are the mass transfer process in which these symbols are used. Then in case of vessels, so when we use the drum and tank, this symbol is used, drum or tank, another symbol like this. Then when we use open tank, then this process. Then storage tank, this symbol is used. Then open vessel with agitator, then this symbol is used. Bin for solids, this symbol is used. And gas holders, this symbol is used. So these are the basic symbols in case of vessel process. Last one type is piping and instrumentation diagrams. So it is called as P&IDs. So in the case of piping and instrumentation diagrams, which gives detailed information of the process than process flow diagram. So this is the advanced technique as compared to flow diagram and process flow diagram. So process and instrumentation diagrams include the engineering details of equipment, instrumentation, piping, walls and fitting, piping size, material specification and control lines. So these diagrams require the technical calculations and details. So piping and instrumentation diagrams consist overall details about that process, in which it includes the engineering details of that equipment, instrumentation process, piping, walls, fitting connections, then pipings, which size of the piping material specification and control lines. But it requires technical calculations and details of that material. So this is about the types of the flow diagrams. So thank you all of you for listening this video.